Good afternoon, Bison fans, and welcome to our Bucknell Women's Water Polo Virtual Season Preview Show. My name is Todd Newcomb, and I'm joined today by Maisha Kelly, our Senior Associate AD for Development. And we want to take this opportunity to thank Giant for sponsoring this year's season preview series. Giant's a great partner with Bison Athletics, and we thank them for all that they do. We've got a great lineup for you today, featuring head coach John Mcbride and three of our current players, Paige Ferrano, Lacroix, and Bella Moynihan. Time now to welcome in the head coach of the Bison, John Mcbride. Thanks for joining us today, John.
Thanks for having me.
So John's in his 10th season at the helm of the men's and women's water polo programs and has guided the programs to over 300 wins during that time. In 2019, he led the women to 25 wins and a third place finish at the CWPA championship. And last spring, the team was off to a blistering 15-4 start before things came to a halt with the start of the pandemic in March. Prior to his time here at Bucknell, John was the assistant coach at Brown University for 7 years. John, we're going to start things off today with some questions from Maisha about your program's return to play.
Okay. John, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. 10 years.
Of course.
Wow. Seems like yesterday, but I'm sure nothing as unique as this year. And so just if you wouldn't mind providing a little bit of flavor to what the women, your staff are having to deal with from a health and safety standpoint to daily protocols and even just expectations and conversations that you're having with them as you navigate this environment.
Yeah, the women, they came back with the rest of the student population at the beginning of February. And since then, they've been charged with staying in their bubbles. What that means is, not having outside visitors come visit them, stay amongst their teammates themselves, and just not isolate or quarantine, but just stay away from people that could potentially spread the virus to them so we can continue to train and practice at the high level that we're used to. We had 2 practices and things got shut down, but the women have stayed steadfast in their commitment to doing what's right. And we've had no problems with COVID in that regards. And now we're excited because we're back to practicing again. And it's only because they've been able to stick to the rules and policies that Bucknell's put in place. And, it's just constant messaging and supporting each other that's allowed them to get as far as they've gotten and, begin a season. So kudos to them when things that maybe may have not looked so good, they stuck together and worked hard and, showed a lot of mental toughness and their commitment to what they started. So they're only allowed a certain number of women in the locker room at a time. For a while there, we were only allowed to practice in small groups to minimize contact tracing in case someone did get sick, which they handled with class, as I expect. And we have to wear the masks on deck. Anytime you're on the deck, you have to have a mask on, and we just constantly remind each other of what we're supposed to be doing and the policies. And at first you have to constantly remind them, but after a while they get in the habit of it doing it, and you don't have to mention it to them anymore. So it's been just rolling with the punches, I guess. So
great. And so as members of the CWPA for your conference, and knowing that there was going to be uniqueness to the structure of the conference play this year, what involvement did you and your fellow head coaches have in essentially setting up what was going to be conference play and how you might address times where you have to be flexible and pivot?
Yeah, so we left some weekends open where games needed to be rescheduled or canceled. We allowed for weekends where that could happen. I mean, normally in a normal season, we're playing anywhere from 33 to 36 games in a season. So now we're down to just about 10 to 12. So it's quite a reduction in the number of games we're playing and the number of weekends, the length of the season, so forth and so on. But it's been structured with the other coaches. We've all agreed that, we have to give more time in between games. So we have a limited number of teams on deck. So it's only the 2 teams that are playing that are on deck or in the pool. So you can't get as many games in a day as we're as you normally can. So we would usually play on the hour and 15 minutes, and now the games are on the 2 hours. So one of the two teams that were playing can leave, and then two other teams can come on the deck. So it's less games in a weekend, less opportunities overall, but it's for the safety of everybody. So everybody's worked together to make it happen, and so far we haven't had any problems. So it's good.
Great. And then, so you mentioned certainly reduction in the number of contests, but there's also a reduction in sort of your lead up time to competing. You don't have as lengthy of a preseason, and there have been pauses. So, what has been the impact, if any, both from a positive and potentially like the challenges that come with physical and mental sort of stamina in this space that you've observed of the women?
Yeah, so normally we'd be getting ready to go on spring break right about now. We'd be a month and a half into the season. So we are usually come back from spring break and we hit the dark days of the season. So there's only our senior class and our one junior that's on campus have ever played an entire season at Bucknell, which is mind-boggling to me when you think about it. I mean, next year our senior will be the only person that has ever played a full season. So we have a bunch of young women that don't understand what the end of March and the beginning of April is, the grind. So, they're going through a different kind of grind right now. I think they go to college to be able to compete and play right away. And, when your season starts, and we usually start in the beginning of January, but, we're on new ground. We haven't ever had to deal with this before. So we're kind of figuring it out as we go along, and just all the credit in the world goes to the women for staying the course and being mentally tough and understanding that it's part of the process, and we'll get there eventually. But, it's all based on the only way we get there is if we follow the rules and the policies. And they're aware of that. I mean, this can end as quickly as it started. So I think they're excited to make sure that they're doing the right thing so we can get a season in and our seniors can have games and graduate. And, unlike our seniors last year who were cut short from their opportunity to finish their season, no fault of their own. We want to work really hard to make sure that our three seniors now are finishing out their playing, finishing out their career, finishing out their commitment, and doing it the best way we can. But they've been doing a tremendous job. So I'm excited with what they've been doing.
John, we talked about that team last year. They're off to a 12-1 start to begin the year, which was a school record in terms of a start to a season. You got the majority of that team back, but what's the mindset right now as your team prepares to compete for the first time? We mentioned the challenges they've been through, and the fact that this is anything but a normal type of preparation for a season.
Yeah, I mean, I just keep going back to their mental toughness. I mean, this is a tough group of women. We've always been a tough group of women, but these women they're dealing with a lot. It's hard to be sitting in your dorm room all day, going online classes, with your only time you can really get out is to go to practice. And they're tough. They're excited to play. It's going to be different. But if there was a group of women that could do it, it would be this group of women for sure. They were amazing last year. I think last year we would have done amazing things, probably things better than, probably had the best season in Bucknell women's water polo history last year. It wasn't short. We'll never know, but we can still do that this year. No doubts. So we just have to stay the course and continue to be mentally tough and support each other. And, not every day is perfect. Not every day is great. So we just got to support each other and figure out a way to get through it and be successful. I mean, there's no excuse for not being successful. We're not letting COVID be an excuse for not being successful. So we're just charging ahead.
Coach, how have you seen your upperclassmen specifically step up and be leaders during this time? What are some of the things that you've seen them do and say?
I think they've been vulnerable, which is a scary thing to do. I mean, they've been admitting to everybody that they're struggling as well. I think a lot of times leaders, you know, if they can admit that they too are struggling, that makes everybody else feel like it's okay. It's okay to feel maybe a little depressed or, you know, anxious about, are we going to have a season or not? We're not going to have a season, instead of just, you know, my job is to be the guy that says, you know, that's not vulnerable, to be the coach that's not vulnerable, that has no chinks in the armor. But I think it's the leader's responsibility to show, hey, we're struggling just as much as you, to the younger athletes, and this has not been easy for any of us. And I really think that's what they've been doing from a leadership standpoint. But we're limited. They're limited on what they can do as far as team gatherings outside of the pool. So that's been very difficult. I mean, normally the team will get together and, you know, they're able to join clubs, they're able to do things and experience other things on campus. And they haven't been really even able to hang out with each other in any kind of group except for the pool. And we just started getting back there. So, you know, there was always been a time where the first semesters, everybody gets to know everybody and find out personalities, and they really haven't been able to do that. So I think the leaders, the practice is the time where we start to figure out, you know, who is who and who likes what and so forth and so on. And that's where the bonds have started. So, so far it's working. We're only a few practices in, but I see the leaders doing a tremendous job of helping people along, and they need help as well. It's not a situation where the leaders aren't asking for, you know, strategies to deal with what's going on. So it's been very good.
So John, you just mentioned it, a few practices in, so this may be an unfair question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Can you kind of let the Bison fans out there that may not be familiar with your team know who some of the individuals are by position that they should be looking for this year to really have a great season for Bucknell?
You were broken up a little bit, Todd. It might be my connection. Can you just repeat that again?
Just if you could maybe go through by position and let the Bison fans know who they should be watching for this year as a standout performer for the Bison.
Well, we have our 1-2 punch. That's still here. That's Ali Ferrano and Callie Hyam. I mean, the two of them have enjoyed making other teams look not so good. So they really kind of support each other. It's very difficult for teams to decide who to guard. You know, if they're guarding Allie, then they're throwing the ball, and then she's throwing the ball into Callie. And if they have guard Callie, then Allie's getting her opportunities. We have two other the women on the call right now, or on this Zoom. Bella Moynihan, she's just grown tremendously at her position. She's, you know, shut down center defender. And there's a lot of teams with good centers. So, you know, Bella's the one that's in there taking all the punches and all the hits, not getting any of the glory. But nobody wants to play Bella's position, so it's a pretty special position. And she works hard. She's a grinder. And then Megan Mccrory. Megan is, you know, one of those people that runs the offense on our power plays or 6-on-5s. She's got to be the smartest person in the pool on our 6-on-5s. Make the right decisions, make the right passes. Paige Ferrano. Paige is a jack of all trades. We were joking because we needed a goalie, a field player to be afraid to do anything. So I had to tell Paige right out, okay, we need a goalie, but it can't be you, Paige. So she's just so dynamic in the way she plays. She can play any position. She's fearless. So we expect a lot out of Paige going forward. Then we have a lot of great supporting players. I mean, we haven't seen our freshmen play yet. Normally we've scrimmaged by this point a few times, even played games. But we haven't seen what the freshmen can do. Fundamentally, they look great. The sophomores are coming along. They look like they're doing well. So I think we're going to have a large supporting cast. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this team and what they can do. I mean, if they train hard and have a good attitude, nothing can stop them. So,
Coach, we have a question from one of our viewers, and it's from John in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And he wants to know, what are your goals for the condensed season, and what are going to be the biggest challenges to reaching those goals?
the first goal is to get to that championship game at conference at Michigan, which I'm very confident that we're going to be able to do. But what are the challenges with that? I think the limited amount of time that we can play our games because, it's such a team sport that we need playing minutes. We need time to play. So we're limited in the number of games we can have. There are teams that have been playing since the beginning of February, and we're one of the few that hasn't started playing yet. So, every game is going to be critical. That we have to go into every game looking at it as an opportunity to get better, where in a normal season at this time of the year, we're looking at these games as, all right, we need these games as wins for seedings and championships. So the mentality of how we're going to approach the games is going to be a little different. Obviously, we're going in to win every single one of them, but it's going to be more of kind of what we're doing now with the men is we're taking each game and using it as an opportunity to practice and get better. The other challenge is we're going to have to play differently than we normally do. We're going to have to play kind of, I would say, against or counter to what my philosophies are offensively and defensively based on the personnel that we have. We're a little short this year. We have 14 players. Normally we have 18 to 20. So that makes practices a little unique. We have one goalie, which limits our ability to scrimmage and practice. So that's why we need to play those games and take advantage of those opportunities. So I think those are some of the challenges, but challenges or not, this is the team that can face those challenges and definitely be successful. So we steer towards adversity. We don't run away from it. So,
John, one final question for you today, and it has to do with one of your assistant coaches. And oftentimes the assistant coaches aren't in the limelight, but they mean so much to a program. Hannah Sunday has not only been somebody that's been through Bucknell's program and had a great career here, but she's now been with you for a while. So what does Hannah bring to the program, to you, and to the women on the team?
Yeah, I mean, Hannah was a tremendous player while she was here, and I think her her love for Bucknell. I mean, she's been here now at Bucknell for 8 years total, just about, with her playing career and her coaching career. So she just loves Bucknell. She loves everything about it. She loves coaching here. She loves the success that the team's having, but she's tremendous at what she does. I mean, she is a center coach. She coaches the centers. All of our centers have become All-Americans. Some of them have gone on to play professionally. Some have been, some of the best in the country. She keeps me honest. She's like, she never makes it easy for me. She's always challenging me and reminding me that I may not be so smart all the time. I guess that's the most polite way of saying it. So, but without her, she makes the world go around when it comes to practices. I mean, I don't know many coaches that can just leave for a weekend and leave their assistant coach in charge. And I've left her in charge many times, and she's been successful winning games or running practices. She knows the sport inside and out, and everything that we do, she's just there. She's never missed a practice. Her 4 years of playing, she's never missed a practice in her coaching career. She loves it, and I love having her around, and I look forward to the day when that ends. But yeah, she's been accused of being my mini me, and I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a compliment to her. I think she takes offense to that, but she's tremendous. So yeah, she's just a tremendous person and a tremendous coach. So probably one of the best assistant coaches I've ever been around or have had. So
I think she has a pretty good record as the stand-in head coach too, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's undefeated.
There you go.
She's never lost a water polo game. So, maybe I shouldn't be here anymore. I just let her take it. So.
I don't know about that, John. I don't know about that. Well, John, thanks a lot. We appreciate your time today.
Absolutely.
And wish you the best of luck, both with the women's program and their season, and also with the men coming up this weekend with championships.
Thank you.
All right. So now it's time to welcome in our 3 current players to today's program. Our first guest will be senior attacker Paige Ferrano. And Allie is from Stamford, Connecticut. And as you heard, her younger sister, Paige, is a junior on the Bison team. Thanks for joining us today, Allie.
Thank you for having me.
So for those who may not know, can you share with us your recruiting experience, how you wound up playing polo for Bucknell?
So I reached out to a bunch of different schools when I was throughout the recruiting process. I knew I wanted to be on the East Coast. I knew Bucknell was a great liberal arts college. I knew it had solid water polo. I knew it was a little bit in the middle of nowhere. So when I came on my recruiting trip, I was a little skeptical of, not being in a city because I thought I wanted to be in a city college. But when I came here, I love Mcbride. I love the team. And I knew I can contribute on the team. So that's why I chose Bucknell in the end. It was a pretty fluctuating process. I wasn't sure where I was going to end up throughout, but once I hit Bucknell, I called Mcbride. I was in Chipotle and he gave me a phone call and he was like, "Hey, like, are you committing here or not?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm coming here." So it was like 3 days later that I committed after my visit. So happy ever since.
Allie, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. So, as referenced, right, you have a sister now on the team. And what's it like to be on a team with your sister? And how did the two of you get started playing water polo?
Oh, so me and Paige have always been on the same team since we were 5. I started swimming when I was 5. She started swimming when she was 4. We played soccer on the same team growing up. She's only a year behind me. We started playing water polo together when I was 12 and she was 11. And Paige wasn't really a super good swimmer. Always had more of like a blocky build. So my parents were like, "You should get her into water polo." And they needed an extra person on their junior Olympics team for the summer. So my dad was like, "You're going to have to do it." I was like, "I don't want to do it. I'm a swimmer." And then I ended up loving water polo, hating swimming, completely different. But me and Paige have always been on the same teams growing up. We're just like twins. We follow each other everywhere. I knew she was going to come to Bucknell. It's honestly really nice because I feel like we support each other. She's like a little piece of home. It's really easy for my parents to come to the games and we're just always on the same side. We don't have to deal with a sibling rivalry at different schools. So it's really nice. And we play different sides, so it's not super competitive between us. So.
Well, after setting the school record for career goals and goals in a game, which by the way, was your sister's record before you broke it, what are some of your personal goals that you have for this year? And what do you think are the goals that the team has?
I mean, I would say my sophomore and junior year, I was someone that I was fed the ball a lot. And I was, someone that was heavily relied on. And this year, I think I'm going to continue to have that same role. But I think the sophomores, juniors, and freshmen deserve more responsibility on the team. And I want to be able to give that to them. So I think this year, I want to be someone that's more of supporting other people because I've had my opportunity. And yes, I want to have a great season for myself, but I think other people deserve that opportunity as well, like I was given. So that's my personal goal for myself. I want to be, obviously I want to score goals, but I want to be more of a passer on the team this year. So that's, hopefully I'll get more assists this year than goals. Who knows?
What about team goal?
Team goal?
Yeah.
I think given all the circumstances, we just want to compete and just be the best that we can. I do want to be in the championship game at Easterns. We do have a shot at winning despite all the things that we've gone through. We only have 5 weeks of season, 6 weeks of season left. So I just want to grind it out, be with each other, do the best we can, work hard, simple goals, finish on a high note.
Allie, you recently got to take part in another series that the athletics department's doing to engage alumni and kind of talk about the history of the program. And so you participated in the 2000s through the decade series. What was that experience like, and what things did you take away from that call?
It was weird. Some of them have kids. It was just like reflecting on their Bucknell experience. Like I think a couple of them didn't even play with Mcbride, so it was just a different circumstance. They went through similar things that I went through the same school, went through the same program, but they were at the beginning of the program, and then we were after the program's been more established. It was really cool. They're all awesome girls. They loved Bucknell. They loved everything about the school, loved everything about the team, but they were just, it was cool to see a different side of where Bucknell water polo where it began and where it is now, the growth of the program. So they were totally different positions in life than me. Like I'm a senior in college and some of them are 30. So very different, but it was cool.
30's
so-
young.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't be so tough on those 30-year-olds. So Allie, we definitely don't want to push you out the door by any means. So we want you to have a great season and a great spring. But do you have any postgraduate plans at this point?
I do. I'm working at an investment bank in New York City. It's a 2-year rotational program. So I'm moving into New York in July. It's going to be similar to water polo, where it's a lot of hours, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of commitment. I'm probably be working 80 plus 90 hours a week. So it's going to be a lot, but I'm really excited. So I'm moving into the city in July. So I'm excited.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. I wish I could have a 5th year, but I got my job in September. So
It's actually really nice to not have to worry about getting a job at this point and have it in September. You got the whole year pretty much to just, cruise through that senior year.
yes, I'm very grateful. I know a lot of my peers have had struggles with everything going on. So I'm really happy and grateful for everything. So
Well, certainly, we got the train going by. We certainly wish you good luck with that and wish you the best with the season. Thanks for taking the time, Allie, to be with us today.
thank you.
Well, those train tracks must be right past where Allie's living now on campus. So next, we're going to welcome sophomore attacker Megan Lacroix to the program. She hails from Saratoga, California, and she attended St. Francis High School there. Welcome, Megan. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So tell us your story. How'd you wind up at Bucknell?
So I'm from California. I didn't really know a lot of schools on the East Coast. I definitely didn't hear about Bucknell until actually the current goalie committed to Bucknell. She's the grade above me, and we both played on the same club team. So that's how I kind of knew the name, but I didn't really know anything about it. I thought I didn't want to play water polo, but my parents and my coaches kind of gave me that push to just email some coaches and see what happened. And then I came out here and I really liked it. So I just decided to go for it. And yeah, here I am.
All right.
Megan, great to see you as well, and thanks for joining us. Even though last season was cut short, still your first year as a collegiate water polo player, what are the things that you learned, and what would you say was your biggest adjustment from the high school to the collegiate game?
So actually, when I first started out, the senior who plays my position last year got hurt in the very beginning of the season. So I was kind of thrown into it from the very beginning. I had to start the first game and I knew very little. So probably the biggest adjustment for me is I've always been a swimmer, and my strong suit is being fast and counterattacking. But once you get to the collegiate level, everyone is as fast as you, if not faster. So I really had to adjust to that, and being able to get up on my legs and pass and not rely just on swimming fast, but actually getting some muscle and moving other people around.
So last year in one of the games you were able to play, it was against Salem, I believe. You had 5 escapes in that game, led to 5 Bison goals and an 11-10 win. What was that game like for you as you set up your teammates? And tell us which you enjoy more, making a pass that leads to a goal or putting the ball in the net yourself?
Yeah, so Salem was one of our closest opponents. I remember we always had close games with them, but I definitely would say I like assisting better than scoring. And I think it's almost more challenging to find that open person, because you always know where the goal is, but you don't know where the goal opportunity is going to be. So I think my strong suit is assisting, and I would like to keep doing that and finding my open players so they can get goals.
Our next question's from one of our viewers in the audience, and this is from Bob in Lewisburg, and he'd like to know, what's it been like adjusting to Pennsylvania weather, which I'm sure you have some thoughts on that, as we all do for this year. And did you play most of your high school games in outdoor pools back in California?
Yeah, so the weather has been kind of difficult this year. Last year we had pretty mild winter, and I didn't really have any issues, but definitely this year we've had a lot more inches of snow. So like learning how to walk through the snow, and like I had to buy new shoes so that they don't get like ruined in the snow and stuff. But in California, yeah, like pretty much all of our games were in outdoor pools, and it's really different. Like you have no like sun conditions in the indoor pools, which is kind of nice, or like weather or anything like that. So I almost kind of like it better. And the Bucknell pool has a really good like ventilation system, so it's not really like stuffy. Like I know the few pools that like are in, I'm from NorCal, so the pools in the city in San Francisco are indoors and they can get really hot and stuffy. So I think the East Coast indoor pools are superior for sure.
Before I ask you my final question, Megan, I want you to elaborate a little bit for those that don't really know polo, or certainly polo on the West Coast. And it's a simple question. I mean, if you're playing outdoor games, do you play those through rain? If it's raining, are you still playing the game? Is the only way the game would be canceled if you have lightning?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's definitely been raining, pouring rain. Like I think the worst conditions are when it's like sun right in your eyes, like in the morning or the night time, when like right behind the goal is the sun and you literally can't see. And especially with the chlorine in your eyes, it makes it like 10 times worse. So yeah, we would always celebrate when there's lightning and we got to cancel.
All right, my last question for you, and you alluded to it earlier when you talked about enjoying the swimming aspect of your game, and that you're a better swimmer than most. It has to do with the sprints, obviously. You've had good success there for the Bison so far. Can you talk us through the approach to a sprint? I mean, what are you thinking as you've got your back there to the lane line and you're about to watch that ball drop? Is there any strategy you have, or is it just get there quicker?
I haven't really thought about like strategy. I was a sprinter for the swim team in like like all throughout high school and my swimming career. So like there's definitely strategy in like your technique and swimming fast, but like as far as water polo technique, all I do is just like try and get over my hips as fast as I can, like when I hear the whistle. And then like I put my head down and don't take any breaths until I think I'm like near the ball, and then I look up and I just like sweep the ball away. So that's pretty much all my technique. Not really, I don't really have a strategy. Just go as fast as you can.
I can tell you as a fan at games, I often get annoyed at the officials when they don't drop the ball and it doesn't sit straight, if it goes to one side or the other. So I think they may have something to do with who gets that ball in the sprint as well. But again, hey, Megan, thank you so much for being with us today. And we wish you and your teammates the best of luck this spring.
Thank you.
All right, time now to turn to our final guest. That's Bella Moynihan. All right, and Bella is from San Diego, California, and she attended Sir Francis Drake High School. Welcome to the show, Bella.
Thank you for having me.
Bella, great to see you. Same question as we asked of your teammates. Tell us your story, how you ended up here at Bucknell.
My story is kind of similar to both Megan and Allie. I definitely like emailed a bunch of coaches. I knew I wanted to play water polo. My older brother plays water polo in college, and like it's kind of a big thing where I'm from. Like pretty much everyone kind of plays water polo in college, and I've swam my whole life and played water polo. So something I wanted to do, but I didn't want to stay in California. Like I really, really wanted to go to the East Coast. So that kind of narrows down your search pretty quickly. And I hadn't really heard of Bucknell. Like I was the first person from my high school to ever go to Bucknell. And so I had never like heard of it. And like I reached out just because I knew they had a water polo program. And like I came on my recruit trip like having zero expectations of like Bucknell. Like I knew it was a liberal arts school, but I didn't really know what that meant because like most of my peers go to like UCs and like big state schools. And so I like didn't really know what it meant to go to a liberal arts school. And so I came for my recruit trip and like fell in love with Bucknell and Mcbride and everyone. And it was like a really fun weekend. And I kind of like went on the rest of my recruit trips and it was just comparing everything to Bucknell. And so deep down, I knew I really wanted to end up here, and now I'm here.
So Bella, first of all, hats off to you, because for anybody that's never seen a water polo game, when you walk in and you watch a water polo game, you realize right away, it's a very physical sport. Center defender, you've got to be crazy a little bit to play in that position. So my hats are off to you, and I give you a lot of props because that's a tough spot to be in. But question that I have though is from one of our viewers, and it's the same question we asked Coach earlier, but our viewer wanted us to ask a student athlete as well. So it's from John Mechanicsburg, and he wants to know, what are your goals for this condensed season, and what are going to be your biggest challenges in reaching those goals?
I think like as a team, we have a goal, like as Ali said, like to play and to compete, but also like to work together. And like it's our seniors last season, and like all of us got our seasons cut short. And like I think at the end of the day, like all of us just like we really just want to play water polo, and we want to play a game. We want to be physical. We want to win. And I think obviously our biggest challenges is like mentally getting through this and like surviving the pandemic and like staying safe, and like that has required like a lot of mental toughness, like Mcbride said. And so I think that's both like our strength, and that's something that we're going to have to like work towards and work through, because as season progresses, like we don't really know what the rest of the semester is going to look like, so we just have to stay tough and stay vigilant.
Coach mentioned earlier that you'd be about a month and a half into the season already. If this was not 2021, an extension of 2020, but so really, how much of a challenge will the shortened preseason and preparation going into this season, the conference season, have on the team, and what are the things you're doing to overcome it as a student athletes?
Definitely just like getting back into shape. I think all of us, it's been hard, like with the pandemic, like pools have been closed, like we didn't really have practices for the first couple weeks being here just because of COVID and stuff. And so I think just it's getting into shape a lot quicker. And it's also like not only getting into like swimming shape, but getting into like water polo shape, which are like kind of different things. And so it's like swimming and getting our legs strong, and like going into the weight room and like doing a lot of things to like prepare ourselves for the games, because none of us have played a game since last March.
So Bella, I'm going to ask you to put on your coaching eye and just a scouting report of the rookies in the program this year.
That is a hard question, because we haven't played. Like I don't even think we've done half court yet. Like we really have only shot a little bit, but I definitely know that like we have a center defender who's a freshman, Emma, and so we're excited about that. She's really tall, long arms, which is amazing. Happy to have. Also Isabel Moynihan, she's an attacker. We're excited about the freshman class, and we're also excited about our incoming class for next year.
All right, so there's no right answer, and you may have multiple people that fall into this category, but who would you say is someone on the team that you admire and why? And how would your teammates describe you as both a player and a person?
Definitely the admire question is easy. Allie's definitely somebody I admire on the team. Like she's got a really strong work ethic. She in the pool, she's all business. Obviously, she's an All-American. Like she has a job at an investment bank in New York. Like she's got her stuff figured out. And I think she sets a good example for everyone on the team of like how to be a real student athlete, and like how like it is hard and there are struggles, but like you can do it and you can be very successful. I think how people would describe me in the pool, probably like competitive and hardworking. But I would like to think that out of the pool, like I'm super understanding and like just somebody that like people can come to when they need to talk about anything, and just be like an extra set of ears.
Excellent. Well, Bella, thank you so much for taking some time with us here this afternoon. We certainly wish the very best to you and your teammates as you complete this 2021 season.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
All right, so I want to thank all of our guests for being here today. We appreciate all their time, and that just about wraps up today's show. Thank you to Jeffrey Campbell, Cole Clunan, and Jess O'Shaughnessy for their help with the program. Our next event in our season preview series, sponsored by Giant, will be on Thursday, March 4th at noon, and it will feature the men's and women's swimming and diving programs. And as a reminder, you can find the complete schedule of all of our preseason shows on the Bucknell Athletics website. Thanks for joining us today, and go Bison.